Ooh, I am so excited to be filming today. Hello, lovelies. It's your girl, Davina Daras. Today, I want to talk about something that means so much to me, and that is dance. In particular, I want to talk about twerking, I want to talk about whining, and I want to talk about belly dance. Three dance styles that I have practiced my whole life, three dance styles that tell the story of African history, dance styles that means so much to my heart, to my soul, and I have done them even long before I understood what any of them meant. As I've expressed before, I grew up in southern Maine, and for those who don't know, Maine is one of the whitest states in the country, second to Vermont. I grew up feeling very estranged from my African heritage. My father was not in my life. I am mixed. I'm African Caribbean on my father's side, and I'm English, French, Swedish, and Dutch on my mother's side. So I grew up feeling very connected to my mom's European roots, but that was very weird. I am mixed. I'm clearly not white, so I didn't feel like I fit in regardless. But the one thing that made me feel connected to my African roots was dance. It was my first love language. It was the first somatic therapy. It was the first form of expression that I ever learned as a child. From whining my waist to dropping my hips and shaking my ass. Even though I grew up in a place that did not reflect me, when I danced, I was home. It was not a visual or a color of skin, but a feeling, an energy that lived on through my ancestors, Mother Africa singing through me. Ever since I was a little girl, the spiritual rhythm of my people pulsated through my blood. And even though I was raised and surrounded by white people, don't you get it twisted. When I danced, I was connected to my blackness fully. Now, I want to give a little bit of history on the etymology of these dance styles. Whining, which was originally known as mutwashi, which means to shake or to move joyfully. Hello, it's me from the future on this very poor quality webcam camera. I just realized I'm pronouncing this word incorrect. It's not mutwashi, it's mutuashi. So forgive me. I keep saying mutwashi, but it's mutuashi. Mutuashi. Whining. This was a traditional African dance which originated from Kassi, a region in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The rotation of the waist was seen as a celebration of life because life came from the belly, but for women, it especially came from the womb. And now belly dance, which is originally known as rakshaki, which means Eastern dance or Oriental dance, an Egyptian art form that is deeply connected to African movement. It is the result of centuries of cultural blending all across Africa, the Middle East, and the Mediterranean. This dance originated in Cairo, and it is a significant part of the culture. It is a representation of the divinity of femininity, what it means to be a woman. Now let's get into the good stuff. Let's get into twerking. Twerking is what everybody talks about now. Twerking is what everybody watches on social media. I think this is the most fun topic out of all. Now, most people don't know this, but twerking originated from the dance style known as mapuka, a West African dance style which originated from Côte d'Ivoire, also known as the Ivory Coast. And in East Africa, it was known as bakoko. And this is a dance that is incredibly sacred for Black people. It is a dance that is done in the celebration of happiness, life. It is spiritual, it is religious. For some people, they claim that mapuka would connect them to a higher power, to God, divinity, the goddess, Mother Earth, whatever your higher intelligence is. Now, this dance as we know it has traveled all throughout the African diaspora, all the way through the Caribbean and all the way to the South in the US. This dance has influenced so many other dance styles throughout history, but this particular dance is part of us. It is part of our DNA. And without us, twerking would not exist today. And sadly, there is often the erasure of Black people once something that we have created goes viral. We see this heavily in pop culture, especially on TikTok, on Instagram. And this doesn't really come to a surprise. I mean, just look at the history of America, look at American jazz. Most people know that American jazz was not an innovation of a white man, but to people who are ignorant to learning and educating themselves, they might not realize and they might not care. A lot of people have this mentality of, oh, if I like it, if I enjoy it, then I don't really need to care about the roots of where it's from. In living in a predominantly white state all of my life, I have witnessed this firsthand. Now let's talk about the evolution of mapuka. Let's talk about New Orleans bounce and the rise of twerking. This was a Black American collaboration born of Black Southern culture. Now, my grandmother was from the South. My grandmother was from Mississippi. My father was born in Louisiana. He was born in a small town right outside of New Orleans. So this, for me, is a really special topic. And the beauty about this dance style, even though it started in New Orleans, but it made its way to Atlanta, and yes, it was even in Miami. Because the thing about us is that we were twerking, we were booty popping in the club, in the music videos, long before it was ever a viral sensation, and we did it damn well. And when it became viral in the 2010s in particular, it was seen as something provocative and gross. Back in 2013, people were looking at pop stars like Miley Cyrus and thinking that she was the representation of twerk, which, don't get me wrong, I love Miley Cyrus. I think she's an awesome woman. I think her music is great. I know that she's been through a lot of shit. But back during that time, I was like, what the fuck? Like, Hannah Montana? I was like, what is this little white girl doing up here? Like, what is going on? I mean, like, good for her. She was trying to break out of a mold, but I was like, this is just wrong. And now when Anaconda by Nicki Minaj came out, it gave the dance a little bit better of representation, but it was still seen as something disgusting and something that was overly sexualizing for women. It was still seen as something very inappropriate, and people just did not understand it. And as we've seen, as soon as this dance was put into the mainstream, it was taken completely out of context. And the meaning behind the movement for our people became construed. And although we've come a long way in the last 10, 15 years, people don't really view twerking as something as necessarily gross. Now it's kind of become an Olympic sport, and people love it, and people talk about it all the time. And don't get me wrong, I am so happy that people are loving this dance and that twerking is seen as the beautiful thing that it really is. However, the part that makes me sad is that I wish people would not forget the Blackness of it. And that's really been my issue all my life. That's always been my issue, seeing white people do particular dances and not wanting to educate themselves on the meaning or the origin, because it just makes me feel like you're doing something that is good, but you don't really understand why that dance was done, why it was invented, what it meant to this group of people. You don't really care. You're kind of turning it into something that you want to perfect and make it a trend. That is the part that bothers me. Because like most things that Black people have created, from music and dance to fashion and style, language and slang, twerking has become yet another piece of our culture that has become appropriated and overrun by pop culture. And now I know that there's a reason why I always felt compelled to move these sacred regions of my body all of my life, even when I didn't realize it, even when I had no external reflection of me. If I didn't see myself from the outside, I felt her from within. Mother Africa running through my veins and encouraging me to tell the story of our people through the movement of my body. And why I was hesitant to dance publicly was repression, just plain and simple. The fear of it being taken away from me, honestly, the generational trauma of what my ancestors went through and what the white men took from them. And I know that times are different, you know, we have progressed, or at least some of us have. I know this is something that no one will ever take away from me, but still, it was a part of myself that I was very protective of. I felt so repressed in so many different ways, from my charisma, my extroversion, the loudness of my voice, my energy. Dance was just another thing that I was like, I don't want people to pick and prod this or try to critique it or try to mold it into something that it's not, because I grew up in a place that was not of my culture. And I saw my dance as something that I needed to be protective over, and I needed to be cautious of how I expressed this part of myself, what spaces I did it in, who would understand it, who would encourage and praise me, and who would make me feel guilty because they are viewing something that I do, that my people have done for hundreds of years, through a very particular lens that does not align with the understanding of what it truly is. Now, this video is not meant for the intention of saying that dance styles like twerking, belly dance, whining are not allowed to be done by people who are not of African lineage. It's simply me saying that if you are to fall in love with these dances, I want you to fall in love with the origin. I want you to fall in love with the culture behind it, because the culture behind it is such a significant piece. It's not just moving our bodies. We are doing so much more than that. We are expressing ourselves. We are connecting with each other. We are telling our stories. We are sharing our hearts. We were dancing when we were in chains. For us, dancing was freedom. Dancing was connection to all things holy. And dancing is for everyone. Dance brings people together. Dance makes you feel empowered, especially the women who I have met in my adulthood who could barely dance before, and now they're twerking, whining, doing all these movements, and they are the most radiant of goddesses I have ever met. And that's exactly what twerking was originally meant for our people. When we danced, when we did this movement, we felt free in all of the ways. And if you truly want to understand something like this, you have to go back to the source. And before our dance was turned into some kind of Olympic competition to be each other's rivalry, this was a dance that we did to connect with each other. This was a dance that we did to inspire one another and to lift each other up, to release tension, to release the trauma in our hips. This was truly a sacred movement to honor our culture, to honor our ancestors. And that is why I dance. When I dance, I do it for the culture. I do it for myself. I do it for my connection with myself and the people before me. I do it for the voices that were silenced, for the women who shrunk themselves, for the women who felt like they couldn't fight back. For me, my dance has always been when I feel the most powerful, when I feel the most unashamed and unafraid. For me, dance has always been something spiritual, and it has always been a crucial makeup of who I am. And most people, when they meet me, they're like, where did you learn how to dance? Or how did you start? And I simply reply with, I've done this ever since I was born. I literally learned how to dance before I learned how to walk. And I have just been dancing within the confinements of my bedroom and being on my own stage in my mind. And now that I've started stepping outside of that, stepping outside of these quite literal physical walls, I have started to shine. I have started go-go dancing. I now dance on stages in front of live audiences of people, and it is the most happiest and free and the most myself that I could ever feel. I do it for the women who surround me. I do it for sensual liberation from shame. I do it for the freedom of sexual self-expression, because I feel that sexuality truly is a dance of self-love. I do it because Africa is in my veins. And since day one, she gifted me with the ability to move for a reason. As I've grown and as I've learned more about the roots of who I am, I understand now why I've always danced, why I could never stop, because this is who I am. This is who my people are. And this is what we've always been meant to do. This is our connection to nature and to spirit. This is my connection to my womanhood. I do this because I am in love with the fleeting heat of the moment. I am in love with the feeling. I am in love with the presence that this gives me, the embodiment that it gives me. When I'm dancing, it's not about tomorrow, it's not about yesterday, it's about this moment. And it's about how I feel. It's about my heartbeat. It's about the sweat on my skin. It's about seeing the smiling faces around me when I'm performing. It's about the melody that is playing in my soul and it's reverberating through my body. It's just about right now. And I have struggled coming out with this because now these particular dance styles that I have loved and done my whole life are now such viral sensations, but they're all about perfection and they're all about competition and they're all about ego and proving that you're the best. And granted, there are so many spaces that women have created that are just about learning and empowerment, and that's wonderful. But the influence that social media plays on it is really hard to shake. I feel like I've met so many women now who have become dancers and they're incredible and they're thriving, but I think they still wonder why they truly want to dance. For me, dancing has just always been a part of myself. As I've said, it's been spiritual, it's been cultural, but as I've learned more about myself, as I let myself free, as I stop suppressing myself, I understand my reasoning. And this has been something that has always been intuitive and in my heart. But the question that I have for a lot of people is, would you be doing these particular dance styles if they were not viral on the internet? If they couldn't possibly make you money? If they couldn't possibly make you popular? Would you still be interested? That's real food for thought. All I know is what it means for me and what it means for my culture. I do it because it makes me feel alive. Because when we dance, we are free. And with that being said, I don't want that to deter anyone from learning these dance styles. I encourage it highly. I just encourage that you educate yourself on what it means, to remember to honor the cultures, to honor the origin story, to honor these people, and to not just see these dance styles as particular entertainment. And I know it's hard because of pop culture and the way that it has influenced many people's perspective on Black people, their culture in general, from, as I've said, music, the way we speak, the way we dance, sports. Basically, everything we do has just kind of become appropriated, and it's sad and it pisses me off in a lot of ways, but I'm choosing to be an elegant lady and not get as coarse as I want to about this topic. But yeah, just to acknowledge that it's something more and it means something for a lot of people. It's not just a TikTok trend. So educate yourself and also understand why you dance, what it means for you. Truly sit down and reflect on it and let that be the reason why you move. Let what you're feeling and hear in your body, let that be the reason why you want to whine your waist and move your hips and shake your ass. For me, it's connection, it's freedom, it's everything. It's everything. It's everything. Dance is the foundation of everything that I fucking do. It's the foundation of all that I am. And I'll never stop doing it. Okay? Hey! Without further ado, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. Until next time, lovelies. Bye.